Algebra 2, 3.6a, two-point equations of lines. If you haven't seen the previous videos for Chapter 3, you may get confused. You can just click on the description of this video and go right to those in the Algebra 2 playlist. If we're given 2 points, we can find the equation of the line containing them. We can find the slope of a line by finding the change in y values divided by the change in x values, and substitute this value for m in the point-slope equation. We get the two-point equation, y minus y1 equals m times x minus x1. All we're doing is substituting the slope for m, and we can use the slope formula for m right here. So it looks like a very huge equation, but really it's not. We take the first y coordinate and the first x coordinate, and we plug them in, see? So it looks more difficult than it really is, all right? So here's our theorem. Point-slope equation, which is also called two-point equation. Any non-vertical line containing the points x1 and y1 and x2 and y2 has an equation. And this is the point-slope equation, or the two-point equation, see? And this part right here is the slope. So it's the m, okay? We can find the equation of the line containing the points if we have 2 for x and 3 for y, for x1, y1, and for x2, y2, we have a 1 and a negative of 4. We find the slope m and then substitute in the two-point equation. So here's our ordered pairs, and let me back up a little bit so you can see my math. Here's our x1, y1, and our x2, y2. First thing we do is the slope, the rise over the run. So we've got this negative 4, take away the 3, and the 1, take away the 2 for the y2 minus y1 and x2 minus x1. And that's going to give us a negative 7 over a negative 1. And the two negatives make it a positive, so we have a positive 7 slope. Now that we've got that, we can plug that 7 in where the m is. And then we plug in our y1 and x1 values as 2 and 3. And we get y minus 3, that's the y1, equals 7, that's our slope, times x minus 2, and that's our x1 value. We do the math, we have to distribute this 7 to the x, don't we? And we get 7x minus 14. We still have y minus 3 on this side, but we need to isolate this y. So we're going to add a 3 to this negative 3 right here and create a 0 pair and get y by itself. But then we have to add a 3 to this side. So we're going to get y equals 7x minus 11. That's it. That's our equation. That wasn't that hard, was it? So even though it looks like there's a lot going on here, it's just baby steps. If you take it in little steps and do the slope and then plug in the values, it's not really that big of a deal, okay? And there's many equivalent equations for the same line, and one's not any more correct than the other. It's just each different form of an equation is useful depending on the purpose. So this point-slope form, this two-point equation, right here, we have a y minus a 1 equals 3. We know that's the slope. And x minus 3, well, we know that that's x1 and that's y1, so we know we've got a point of 3 and 1, see? And in this form, this is the slope-intercept form, y equals 3x minus 8. It gives us a slope of 3, and then the y-intercept is going to be the negative of 8, see? That's down here, and we'll take a closer look at this in a second. And then in this form, this is the standard form of a linear equation. We have negative 3x plus y equals negative 8. It's useful for when we're doing applications or operations that involve symmetry. So we know that our slope is a 3. So if our rise is a 9 and our run is a 3, that's 9 over 3, that's a 3. We had the points 3 and 1, right? We have our y-intercept as a negative 8. We can graph this and just draw the line from the information given from the equations, okay? So these are the same for this graph. They all match this graph. Isn't that something? Even though they're different forms. So depending on what we want to use it for, we could have a different form of an equation, all right, for the same graph. Okay, our next video is 3.6b, and we're going to talk about slope-intercept equations of lines. You're going to be able to go to this description and click on the Algebra 2 playlist to catch up, review, or study for tests. And there'll be a link to the Algebra 1 playlist and the Graphs and Linear Equations from Chapter 7 playlist. Okay? In case you're really confused, you can go back to Algebra 1 and study. All right? Okay, so that's 2-point equations of lines. That's the point-slope equation and a theorem for you. I'll see you next video. I hope you're doing well. Bye.